Yes, hello, and welcome back to the Wildcard Rewind. It is a Monday night. Me and Lewis are here, and it is nearly Christmas.
I just wanna rewind to when we were younger. Back to all those good times. Take me back to the start.
Oh, it is Monday night. It is well earlier than what we normally are. It's 20 past 5 at the moment, UK time, when we're normally on at 8 o'clock. But it's Christmas. Christmas is upon us. It is Christmas Eve. And I'm not going to lie, Lewis, I am so happy today because we hit the secret special Sunday touchdown club bet again. And we are just throwing money everywhere. Oh, we nailed it. How are you doing?
I am fantastic. Deck the halls with Wildcard Rewind. It is a special day today. We are into the fancy playoffs. We are rich as anything. It is nearly Christmas. It is a fantastic time to be podcasting. It is a delight to see you, my friend. It feels like it's been forever. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm amazing, mate. Absolutely amazing. Like I said, we hit our touchdown bet, and actually what was really poor is I think that both yourself and I went to bed not together, just to clarify, not together. We didn't go to bed together. We went to bed separately, but we'd gone to bed before the end of the games, and we were waiting for Achan, I think it was, who scored a touchdown on near enough like the last play of the game, which came in, and it was absolute scenes. Big shout out to the weatherman for joining us in our secret special Sunday touchdown bet. But Lewis, I have to point something out. So a lot of people will be listening. Not many people will be watching, but I feel like you are a commentator at a football game at the moment because you are sat there and it looks like you're holding your microphone up like good old fashioned, like old school commentator at the football, like, you know?
Yeah, I'm on the gantry. I'm ready to go. No, I'm at my in-laws at the minute, which means we don't have my normal sort of Rams decor podcast background, and I don't even have anywhere I can put my microphone. So for the next, half an hour to an hour, as long as we spend on the podcast, I am sat here just with a snowball of a microphone in my hand. But yeah, the microphone's called a blue snowball. So that's pretty Christmassy. That's pretty on theme.
I absolutely love it. Lewis is holding onto his blue snowball,
And Paul is getting ready to spend a day with his meat.
Oh, I can't wait to play with my meat all day.
Oh, you can tell Hannah's not here on this one.
yeah. You could tell. I miss her. I'm not going to lie. I miss her. We haven't seen her for a few weeks. It's just everything's just been crazy over the last couple of weeks, and we haven't been able to get us all together and whatnot, and work and commitments and everything. It's just been insane, absolutely insane. But hopefully we will be back next week.
Yeah, I've actually not seen Hannah yet since she got back from America, which feels genuinely insane, but it's just the nature of the last few weeks.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen Hannah since the end of October. If that helps, which is absolutely crazy. But yeah, Lewis, there's not much we can really talk about at the moment. As a redraft sort of podcast, it's pointless really looking into the big news or anything like that. So what I want to ask you, because you shared something on X earlier, which has made me want to talk about it, is how you getting on in your leagues, mate? And more importantly, how are you getting along in your home league?
So in leagues in general, in 10 managed dynasty leagues, I've made 3 finals. Scott Fishbowl, it looks like I'm about to be bounced out. I'm currently 57th, and you obviously need to be in the top 50, and I only have a kicker left to play, so feels pretty unlikely I'll get through in that one. Then I have 4 managed redraft leagues. I'm in the finals in 2 more, but what you're referencing is in my oldest home league, 8-man league, so the finals were this week. and I won. I was the first person ever to become back-to-back champion, and I was also the first person ever to become a 3-time champion before anyone else had even won it twice. So this morning, as soon as I woke up and I saw that the games were finished and that I'd won, I put a big message into that chat, thanking them all for trying so hard over the last few years and just really asking them if they could up their game in the next few years, because it's really starting to get boring now. There's fantasy in so many different forms is so much fun. Charity leagues are so fun. All of these dynasty leagues where you've got all of these complicated and really intelligent players against you, and there's all these different strategies. I genuinely think there is nothing more fun than winning a league with a bunch of your best friends and just ripping the shit out of them afterwards.
100% agree with you. My longest standing league is a 6-man league that we started probably around 2016, 2017, something like that. And it's still going, we've still got the same guys in it and everything like that. And I won it last year. Did I win it last year? It was either last year or the year before, but I've just made it to the final again. And I think I've won it 3 times already. So this could be number 4 in 7 years, And
nice.
I've also got a Dynasty Home League, which I won. Do you remember the year where the Bengals player suffered cardiac arrest and stuff like that on the pitch?
Yeah, the Damar Hamlin year.
Yeah, it was all a bit crazy that year, wasn't it? And I think I won it that year. And as long as Jordan Reed scores less than 30 points, but I just want to, I'm safe, but I want to add that the guy who's got Jordan Reed said, let's pray for Jordan Reed in a 25-point week. And I was like, yeah, let's pray for that, because that's not enough to get you through. Okay. So he's praying for Jordan Reed to score less than what he needs to get through. But one that I am absolutely devastated about, and Lewis, I know you're in this league, and it would have just been amazing if I'd have done it, is the League of Extraordinary Hatchetmen. Okay, I last week beat our good friend Matt, the Weatherman, and this week came up against another good friend, Rich, Dynasty Island from the Fantasy Sanctuary. Now, I thought, do you know what? I've been doing all right. I've probably been punching a bit above my weight in that league. I probably don't deserve to be where I am, but I have been quite a high-scoring team throughout the whole thing. I think I was like the 4th highest-scoring team. Anyway, but I came up against this week Lamar Jackson, 29 points, Jonathan Taylor, 47 points, James Conner, 31 points, Amon-Ra St. Brown, 19, Garrett Wilson, 11, Justin Jefferson, 37, Brock Bowers, 30, DeAndre Swift, 10, Jonnu Smith, 17, Tank Dell, 22, and Jared Goff, 32.49 points. He is, I would literally looked at it and I was there like, this is ridiculous. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, literally the all-time highest score we've got in this league is 277 points. And Mags did that in 2022. And then apart from that, it drops to 261, 252. Yeah, Rich put up 288.57 points this week.
Oh,
and not only did he score well, he scored the highest score we've ever seen in this league. Yeah. And it even got to the point where, like Tom T-Strack put in a thing going where the Simpsons were like, "Stop, he's already dead." Okay, because it was just one of them where it was just like I literally, unbelievable. But I would have loved to have done that one and made it through to the final of that one. That one would just that's like the creme de la creme,
There's something very fun, and I do actually have a team doing it this year about scraping through, especially in a dynasty league where like teams are trading away picks and then you're sort of like bumbling your way through, not really knowing how. Like I've got a team that's made it through to a final that scraped into the 6th seed at 7-7, and and then this week exploded for like 190 points out of nowhere. But the problem is Tank Dell obviously just got injured, and I'm going to have to trade for a wide receiver because I think my next wide receiver on this team is Elijah Moore. So it's one of those where you're like, well, now I can sell out because I'm in the final. But it's very funny watching these teams like trade away their first round picks and trade away their futures. And then it's just me like blindly falling my way into the final accidentally.
Yeah, completely agree. I to be honest, I nearly did it in that Hatchetman League. I was like, I really need to bolster something here, and nearly threw first round picks at players and everything like that. And it's one of them where, you know, I see it in my home dynasty league. One lad, all he had was Tua, and then traded for Matt Stafford like the day before. So I think it was like Saturday morning, traded for Matt Stafford and threw like a first and a second at Matt Stafford, like because he panicked. And it was like, I really need this. But in reality, he probably should have just accepted it. I know he can still go through, but I'm 12-2 in that league. You know, I'm 12-2. I'm the highest scoring team and stuff. You'd sort of go, do you know what? I need a miracle. Maybe throw my first at a player like Matt Stafford is not the best idea right now, you know, but we all do it. We all do it. I did it in the Champions League. Did it in the Champions League where I threw like firsts and seconds and everything to get like CMC, and then to try and win to get to the next round of the playoffs, and ended up losing in that round, and it all just went to shit. And brilliant. But shall we move on? Shall we move on to what we learned this week? What did you learn this week, Lewis?
Absolutely. I learn, and it's less of a thing that I've learned this week, and something I was thinking about last week, but that I really like to think about this time of year. And I am in a lot of fantasy leagues, right? And so it's quite easy during the games on a Sunday, when there's so much football this time of year, you know, there's no buys, every team is playing, and you're in so many different leagues, and you find yourself getting really stressed because it was particularly James Cook last night, right? So every single semi-final that was still alive, I either had James Cook or I was playing against James Cook. And every time he scored a touchdown or he broke off a long run, or it starts to get to the stage that every time, you know, a player has a catch, you're like, oh, good. Oh, shit. Oh, I don't really know. Like, you know, that sort of thing where you get into the finals and you're like, right, I need this player to get more than 8 points, but less than 11 points. And that's just not a particularly fun way to play. And I think we get so into fantasy sometimes that we forget how exciting it is that football's on, because the football season is so short. And, you know, I actually think I enjoy the regular season more than I enjoy the playoffs. I think the playoffs start to get a little bit, you know, teams are being knocked out. There's too much on the line. The regular season's so much fun. So I think the biggest thing I learned is during that window, when the games are on a Sunday, put your phone to one side. Like, reevaluate after the game, or think about if you need to switch up lineups, fine. Reevaluate after the game, figure out what you need, chase it at that point. But it is not a fun experience to sit and look at, okay, this player's just scored a point, that's going to help me here, but it's going to be really annoying here. I think we just need to be okay with the fact that, you know, what's going to happen is going to happen in front of us. We've set our lineups and it's out of our control, but make a point of actually enjoying the football in front of you. Like, I was able to sit and watch the Rams game yesterday and just enjoy watching my team. I enjoy watching my team for some of it, but like, football season is so close to being over. And for some teams, the season's already over. Sit and enjoy it while it lasts. Like, the fans, whatever happens in fantasy is going to happen, but enjoy football that's happening while it's happening, because we do not have that long left of it.
This is something that I learned a couple of years ago. A couple of years ago, I became very much a degenerate with leagues and everything like this, and we all go through that phase where you just say yes to everything, you join everything, you're playing in everything, you're playing in these leagues, that leagues, everything like this. And honestly, I think if I broke down who I've got in my leagues and who I own and who I'm playing and who I'm playing against, I don't think it matters what happens in any game, because it's probably going to have some effect on every game that I'm playing in, you know. And yes, okay, it is easier sort of this time of year because, you know, I've got probably out of all my leagues 4, maybe 5 finals. That's it. So I've only got 5 lineups where I'm looking at players and looking at things and everything like this. But I learned a long time ago, I've turned all my sleeper notifications off on a Sunday. Yeah. So when it comes to 6 o'clock on a Sunday, the whole thing goes off. Normally, because if I'm watching stuff on the iPad, I'm a little bit behind, and I used to get a notification going, "Oh, Kyler Murray's just scored a touchdown," and then I'm watching Red Zone on the iPad going, "Cards game is a none," and then they were like, "Oh, let's go over to the Cards game," and I'm going, "Well, I know what happens here." So there was that point, but at the same time, I don't want to be looking at my phone, and I think what a lot of people do, like. My little brother did it today. Like, I think he was knocked out in my Dynasty Home League. He was knocked out. But he was like, "Oh, at one point, I had a 95% chance of winning the matchup and stuff." And it's like, don't look at that. Like, what sleeper tells you and what sleeper's actually doing are 2 different things. It's shit for that. Don't look at that. Don't look at your matchup, anything like that. Just accept it. You can't swap any players. You can't change any players. You can't do anything. Once they've started, they've started. You can't do anything. You may as well literally put it to one side, watch the football, enjoy the football. There's not much you can do about it until the next day. Now, one thing I am guilty of myself is I will check Sky Bet all the time to see who I've got and who I need to score touchdowns and everything like that. Okay, I do check that quite a lot because I forget who I've put bets on and who I need and who scored and stuff like that. That is the only thing that I actually check. What you're saying with sleeper, completely ignore it. I think Mags made a point yesterday in one of our group chats because Jalen Hurts was ruled out and he was still predicted to score 10 more points than what he'd already scored and stuff. And you were like, this is a problem. So if you've got Jalen Hurts in your team, it's going, "Oh yeah, but you're going to win by 10 points." You go, no, because you've got to take that 10 points, So just ignore what sleeper's saying. Just accept it. It is inevitable. Yeah. What's happening. Just move on. I love it, and I learned it a long time ago, to be fair.
Yeah, I definitely think like there's a league that I've made the final in where you look at the sleep projections, and if you're in a lot of leagues, sometimes you'll just use that as a way of trying to look quickly, okay, how am I doing? Which ones do I want to be paying attention to? And there was one that like I know at this point not to pay attention to them. But there was one where genuinely I'm like 70% predicted to win, but it's like midway through the first quarter of the late window, and then someone scores. I think James Cook scores his first touchdown. And suddenly it's 70% the other guy. And you're like, well, there's no way that the probability actually changed that much. Like, it's just that it all means nothing. So if there's one thing I can say to people, and especially when we start to look to next season, it's, stay on sleeper until 5:55 on a Sunday or wherever it is on your time and get everything set up and be 100% confident in what you're going to do. And then sit and watch and enjoy. And like, you can have in the back of your mind that you're like, I know that when Puka Nacua scores, that's going to be helpful in a lot of leagues. I know I own him everywhere. There's your one per episode. I know that I drafted a huge amount. I know that I drafted a lot of Jahmyr Gibbs. I know that when I see him score, that's going to be good for me. But I don't need to see, okay, this player's had a catch for 1 yard. That's 0.6 points in this league. That's, that's going to really get, no. Enjoy the football while it's in front of you.
100%. I just want to make everyone aware, and if people are listening, please remember that week 17 starts Christmas Day. It starts on Wednesday this week. It doesn't start Thursday night. So week 16 finishes tonight in the middle of the night, our time, Monday Night Football. Then you've got Tuesday, where you can put all your waivers in, and Wednesday your waivers will run Wednesday morning. Then set your lineup straight away. And I know it's Christmas Day, and I know it's going to be hard, but if you're in a final, make sure that you don't miss out on that player or whoever you want to do or whatever you want to do to your team. It is important, but it does start Christmas Day. There's literally, you've got 36 hours, something like that in between. Or 40 hours, something like that, in between one finishing and the next one starting, which is quite a quick turnaround. So please remember to do that. Should we move on to our main feature?
Let's crack on through.
You might need to help me here, Lewis, because I haven't done this. Because Fantasy Pros didn't have all the scores of all the other players up. So we may need to just quickly go through certain things. But yes, we are going to move on to our main feature. This is where we have 3 regular features, which is the stud, the scare, and the wild card. The stud is where you start under the radar player who you think is going to hit. A scare is where you start your stud who think he's going to miss. And then a wild card is just a crazy sort of gamble at something at the end. I'd like us to, I'll remind you of the competition that we're running. We are basically scoring points each week. I had a bad week last week, but I feel like I was robbed, but I'm not going to get involved with that because, it is what it is. And if I remember correctly, I think you and Hannah are on 15 and I'm on 19, something like that, because you gave me 3 points last week.
Yeah.
Because apparently your scare is Tyrone Tracy and Hannah's was Najee Harris, where mine was Jalen Hurts. You know what I mean? There's not really a elite player that you pick for a scare, but I'm not going to get into it, Lewis. I'm not going to get into that. That's in the past now. It is what it is.
Sounds like you're getting into it, Paul. Sounds like you're getting into it a little bit.
But we've got a forfeit for the loser, and they have to open the show after the Super Bowl with a monologue of the other 2 hosts choosing, which is probably going to be me, which you 2 are planning to do anyway because you give me stupid points. But yes, let's start with our fantasy stud of the week. Lewis, you went for Roma Dunze. He scored, he got 4 receptions for 77 yards. I thought that was not bad for him, to be fair. I said Nick Westbrook-Akini, who got 2 receptions for 17 yards and a touchdown because he's back on the scoreboard. And Hannah said Calvin Austin, who got 4 receptions for 65 yards. Now, Lewis, as I said earlier, Fantasy Pros haven't updated their scores for what is week 16 yet. They've got all games from Thursday night, or have they done it now? Oh, do you know what? They may have done it. No, they haven't.
Oh.
They haven't updated it. It's all Houston, Kansas City, Baltimore, Chargers, Pittsburgh, and Denver players. Like, it's not, wide receiver 9 has 10 points.
Well, I can get it up on Sleeper. Where I've got on Sleeper, I've got Roma Dunze as the wide receiver 42. I've got Calvin Austin at wide receiver 43 and Nick Westbrook-Akini as wide receiver 47.
Oh, okay. Is that PPR?
That's a PPR league. If it's half PPR, it's Nick Westbrook-Akini, then Roma Dunze, then Calvin Austin. So it's incredibly close between the 3 of us. I'm honestly, I know this might seem a bit upside down. I'm quite happy to take this one purely because I think both of Roma Dunze hasn't had an amazing season, but he still was a top 10 rookie. But I think both of yours were slightly, they finished basically the same, and both of yours were more out there. I think Hannah going for Calvin Austin and you going for the Nick Westbrook-Akini bounce back compared to a first-round rookie is probably a more out there choice than mine. So with it being so close, I'm happy to take the point on this one.
Yeah, but I think we should just give Hannah one anyway for not turning up.
Yeah, should we just give one to Hannah? Okay, yeah, fair enough.
But that's what I was going to say. I was going to say, well, it's all really close, but we'll give it to Hannah anyway because she didn't turn up, Although she is really busy.
Yeah, fine. All right, it's on the spreadsheet. Hannah's got one.
Oh, sorry, Hannah. But yeah, let's move on to the people who we think are studs this week. So, Lewis, let's see who you've got as your stud this week.
So I debated between a few here, and they were both really old wide receivers who were brilliant 5, 6 years ago. I've ultimately gone with Robert Woods. And the reason behind this is obviously Tank Dell's injury. So I was debating between Robert Woods and John Mechie. And I didn't see anything about John Mechie's health. But he didn't actually receive a target in the game just gone for the Texans. So that was slightly concerning to me. So it's the Ravens that they're playing on Christmas Day, I believe. Yeah, they play the Ravens on Christmas Day. So obviously they can't just go with Nico Collins, and he's going to be shaded by Marlon Humphrey for a lot of the game. It seems like Woods is the wide receiver 2 on the team, which is crazy to say. I think Hannah's gone for a relatively similar theory with hers. The Ravens offense is really good. They have been playing much better recently on defense, but they are still vulnerable through the air. But I thought Woods is definitely going to be available on waivers in a lot of leagues. And it would be very fantasy football for a random 32-year-old wide receiver to appear off the waiver wire and suddenly be like a top 10 wide receiver on the week with someone that someone that you haven't heard anything about for like 3 years. Suddenly comes out of nowhere and actually ends up winning you a week.
Yeah, oh mate, I love it. I love it. When I looked at it, I was like, I actually really like that. I really like it as a pick, to be honest. Hannah has gone for. I'm trying to find who she's gone for. Right, there it is. Hannah's gone for Dalton Schultz, which again, I think the like you said, I think the theory is kind of the same. So I actually really like that pick as well. But I have gone for the guy that shined for me last night in what was quite a crazy game between the New England Patriots and the Buffalo Bills, and that was Kayshon Boutte, who managed to get 5 receptions for 95 yards and a touchdown. And nobody saw that coming whatsoever. Like, they were 14-0 up at one point, weren't they, the Patriots? And it just absolutely crazy. But I don't know. I'm sort of rolling with it, thinking maybe he's got a bit of a connection with Drake May. Maybe it's starting to click a little bit for them. He's not really done anything since then. I think since then, his best finish was week 6 against the Texans, where he finishes wide receiver 21. Apart from that, it's 93, 62, 116, 61, 59, 75, 41, 53, 92, 45, 73. And
not great.
This week, say again.
Not great.
Not great. But yes, so this week they play the Chargers, and I think, again, they may need to pass the ball a little bit to stay in the game. And I think he's going to have another good week. I don't think he's going to be like a wide receiver 1 or anything like that. I don't think, he's going to finish that high, but I think he is somebody that is going to have he's going to be a good sort of flex play. I think he'll be around the same mark, about 15 points, something like that, 14, 15 points. So that is my stud of the week. We shall move on to the scares of the week. Now, Lewis, you said Terry McLaurin. Again, I think that game was a bit mental and literally was just mind-blowing, if I'm honest. It was just probably one of my favorite games of the weekend, to be honest. That was probably one of my favorite games of the weekend. But Terry McLaurin had 5 receptions, 60 yards, and a touchdown. I said Nico Collins, who got 7 receptions for 60 yards. And Hannah said Joe Mixon. And the running backs are updated on Fantasy Pros, who got 15 attempts for 47 yards and 1 reception for 4. He actually finishes RB 34 this week. But unfortunately, Lewis, I feel like you're going to get the point here, because if Terry McLaurin hadn't have scored that touchdown, I think you'd have been safe. But he did score a touchdown, which was heartbreaking. And I actually celebrated when he scored. So,
yeah, I think that's completely fair. Yeah, I mean, it was a relatively bold choice. It was, I think, a lot of the theory there because you saw Terry McLaurin being shaded a lot by Quinion Mitchell, and then you saw the game-winning touchdowns end up going to Jamison Crowder and Lumide Zacchaeus. So some of the theory was there, but yeah, he did get that touchdown. Otherwise, we would have had the same yardage on our players, which would have been fun.
yes, it would have been one. I'd have probably beat you, been worse off because he had 2 more receptions.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think that goes to show, doesn't it? Your theory was right. Trust the process, as we always say. Your theory was right, and I just love the way that Jamison Crowder pops up in week 16 of the NFL fantasy season and scores 2 touchdowns, and it's all just a bit fucking mental, mate.
Stupid.
But yes,
stupid game that we play.
Yes, yeah. Who predicted Jamison Crowder to bang 2 touchdowns in? Let's talk about scares this week. Who have you gone for, Lewis?
So we've all gone actually relatively highbrow here. I've gone for Josh Jacobs. They play the Vikings, who are the hardest team to run the ball on. You absolutely can't run on them. The Seahawks really struggled this last week. Now, Josh Jacobs has been having more of a role within the receiving game, so there is a chance that he can get it done that way. But in terms of pure rushing, I think he's going to struggle, and I think the Vikings are probably going to go ahead early, so they're going to need to throw it. If Josh Jacobs does get it done, I think it's probably through receiving work, but on the ground, I can see him struggling.
Yeah, I can as well. It was that Vikings team is really good. Sorry, I'm just trying to work out something for Hannah's. I've completely lost it now. I was working out something. So Hannah's gone for CD Lamb. And I think she's gone for the same sort of theory that you had with Terry McLaurin, because they play the Eagles in week 17. I love the pick, and I think it's a great pick. I think for a fantasy player, I think it's really tough to sort of bench CD Lamb at this point. If you've made it to the final, I think if you can make it to a final of a fantasy football game and then bench CD Lamb and win, I think hats off to you, because that's incredible. But do you know what? If anything, I think if I was a betting man, which we know that we are, I think I'd be having a bet on Jalen Tolbert to score a touchdown in this game, or somebody random, and they do what like the Commanders did, and it's just going to be a bit mental. But no, I like both their picks. I think they're better than Tyrone Tracy and Najee Harris that you guys had last week, but I'm not getting annoyed at it. I've gone for Chuba Hubbard, who had an absolute field day against the Cardinals, scoring like an insane
30-something. Yeah,
I think he finished as RB3 on the week, 30.5 points. He rushed for 150. He finished as RB2, run for 152 yards and 2 touchdowns, and got 4 receptions for 13 yards as well. But next week he plays the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I think the Cardinals made the Panthers look better than what they are. And I think people are going to be blinded a little bit by it and just be like, oh, look, Chuba Hubbard, and because Bryce Young had a really good week as well, didn't he? And I think the reality's coming for them, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I can see that. We've managed to get this far without talking about the Cardinals' performance last night in a must-win game against one of the worst teams in the NFL. But the Cardinals have an incredible ability to play down to an opposition and make the Panthers' offense, which has been playing better, you took the Chiefs to nearly to overtime. They've been playing well recently, but the Cardinals made them look like a top 5 offense yesterday.
You're welcome, Carolina. All I can say. But it really fucking winds me up, Lewis, because my little brother is a Carolina Panthers fan, okay? And
yeah, of course. Of course.
It's literally just the worst thing ever because you're ready to be like, this is it's like when we watch soccer and it's like playing somebody like Ipswich and going, we could beat these, and then they turn us over and it's just like it's just infuriating, okay? Absolutely infuriating. Sorry to bring up Ipswich because Spurs actually lost to them, where Villa only drew with them. But yeah, let's move on to our wild card of the week. Lewis, you said Jahmyr Gibbs would be RB1 on the week and the Bengals would lose to the Browns. But unfortunately, Jahmyr Gibbs wasn't RB1 on the week and the Bengals didn't lose to the Browns. But I just want to say, okay, I was waiting for Jamar Chase for one of my touchdown bets that came in, which will be 70 quid. And that play, I literally even said to my wife when there was 2 minutes left and the Bengals got the ball, I said, this is not coming in. Jamar Chase is not scoring a touchdown. They have no reason to even throw the ball. And even the commentators went, and what's his name? Scott Hansen went, this is mad. They had no reason to throw this ball and then launch it all the way downfield and Jamar Chase takes it for a touchdown. No reason to do that whatsoever. You can literally just drag the game out, rushed it a couple of times. So I just want to say, Jamar Chase, thank you. Okay, thank you.
Well, there were 2 points yesterday in all of our fantastic betting where one of us would message and say, this player's not scoring a touchdown. And then within 2 minutes, that player scored a touchdown.
I literally messaged you and Matt going, I just need Jamar Chase for like 70 quid. Okay.
Yeah.
Next minute, red zone. Look at this play. This is just madness.
I wasn't watching, right? So you messaged that. I went on Sleeper to see, let's see how the Bengals game's going. As I go to check on Sleeper, it says, play in progress. Jamar Chase, 45-yard touchdown.
It was, mate, honestly, I'm not even kidding. How mad this play was. The Bengals had control of the ball. I think there's 1:49 left on the clock. And I think it was like 2nd and 10 or something like that. And it was like they had no reason to throw this ball. And Joe Burrow just steps back. Jamar Chase hits the line and he's broken free. And it was just, they're like, it's easy. Whoop, straight over the top. Jamar Chase, thank you very much. I'll take that. And you just mind blown. But it was because it won me a touchdown. It won me a bet, which was great. But unfortunately, Lewis, you got both wrong. I said Mac Jones would have 16.5 points. He only got 13. Brilliant. Thanks, Mac Jones. What a waster. And the Rams, the Cards, and the Seahawks would all win and the 49ers would lose. Now, I got the Rams right and I got the 49ers right. The Rams won and the 49ers lost. So I got 2 or half a point there as such. But I just want to say the fact that the 49ers lost, that just means so much more to me because like the Cardinals, they are now out and cannot make the playoffs, which is just chef's kiss. And Hannah said the Jets would beat the Rams.
Beautiful. They're going to finish last in the division, and it's so funny.
Yeah. But Hannah said the Jets would beat the Rams, which, as you heard last week, if you tuned into Lewis's solo episode, the Rams are the best team in the world, and they're going to win the Super Bowl. And she said the Raiders QB would be top 5, but unfortunately the Raiders QB scored 11 points, which was not great. So Hannah was both wrong. So Lewis, what do you want to do here? I got half a point as such, so I'd say it's between you and Hannah. Who was more wrong?
I think I would. I'm almost quite happy. Here's my suggestion. It's not you. I think it's quite hard to pick between me and Hannah because we both had relatively bold predictions. Hannah with the Raiders quarterback being top 5, and me with like calling the RB1 overall. And then the Bengals and the Browns and the Jets winning were both bold. For drama's sake, going into next week, I'm happy to give both of us a point because that puts the projection or the predictions in a really fun space. That would put both of us on 17 and you on 19.
Brilliant. All for it. All for it.
There you go.
I am all over that. Great idea, Lewis. Great idea. But let's get into this week's wildcard picks. Lewis, what have you gone for this week? I think you may be losing your marbles a little bit, but I'm here for it.
Well, I keep giving myself points this episode, which is very entertaining. But it's fine. I'm a humble man. I think the Steelers are the weirdest team in football, and I can see them beating the Chiefs because I can't like the Steelers are, they're currently top in their division ahead of the Ravens. I think people forget that. And they're so strange. And I think the Chiefs are also very strange. And I can see the Steelers beating the Chiefs. It's just a sort of weird result that I can see happening. The other one I've gone for Brian Thomas Jr. as a top 5 wide receiver. They're playing the Titans this week. Again, it's one of those weird games where there's nothing to play for on either side. Like either team probably actually wants to lose, if anything. They want the higher draft pick at this point, but Brian Thomas Jr. is an absolute stud. He's performing the way he's performing. I think he's like wide receiver 7 on the season. He's played most of the season with Mac Jones. Like, this kid is an absolute stud, and I can see him just having volume alone and keeping that going.
He is becoming one of my favorite wide receivers, and somebody I believe that we've picked a lot on our Sunday Touchdown Club bets. I think he's been in a couple of times. So I actually really like Brian Thomas Jr. and would love to see him really take a step forward next year and be a big hit. But yeah, I agree with you with the Steelers. They are very weird. I believe they've already beat the Ravens this year, haven't they? Yep. I think they've played them twice. They beat them and lost to them. So they've got that ability to beat a tough team. I think offensively, they're not great. The defense side of the ball, I think they are great. Like, I think they can stop the best of people. So I think it's great. Pat Mahomes on prime time, because that's a Christmas Day game, isn't it? Mahomes on a Christmas Day. I just can't see, I can't see past Andy Reid in a thong, I just can't do it. So I just can't see past Pat Mahomes losing on Christmas Day. I hope you're right. I really do hope you're right, because I'd like to see the Chiefs lose, so I can message Mags and just laugh. But yeah, so Hannah has gone for another crazy one like you, and she's gone for the Jets to beat the Bills. I just can't see that, to be honest. I think the Jets have been really poor. I think they were very poor against the Rams yesterday.
She's picked the Jets 2 weeks in a row. I don't really know what's going on with her. This is like second week in a row she's picking the Jets as an underdog. And like picking them over the Rams, fair enough, the Rams aren't amazing. The Bills are fantastic. That's a crazy thing to do.
Hang on, can we clip that up? Lewis just said the Rams are not amazing. Last week, he literally said every other sentence how the Rams are the best team in the world and they're going to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but that was when I was unmonitored. That was when I was doing a podcast by myself and I'd lost my mind very slightly.
but yeah, so Hannah's gone for the Jets to beat the Bills. Watch it, mate. Watch this. We're taking the piss, but watch them go beat them next week. And she walks on next week going, "Oh yeah, told you they were going to win," And she's also gone for Mason Rudolph to finish as a top 10 QB. I quite like that. I think that's very out there and very much fits the bill that it suggests the less likely the better, and I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
I've gone for the Cards Rams. I didn't want to pick a winner, Lewis, because I think it's lose-lose situation. You know what I mean? If I pick the Cards to win, they're probably going to lose, and I'm going to be annoyed. And if I pick the Cards to lose, then they're going to win, and then I'm going to be annoyed because of this, and it's just I can't be asked. So I've gone for it's going to be a high scoring game. I think the Cards are somebody who can march the ball down the field. They can score a touchdown, but they just can't stop the people doing that against them. So I think there's going to be over 50 points in this game. And I think the Cards win 28-26. I think that's what kind of game it's going to be. And I think Anthony Richardson is a top 3 QB this week. And I genuinely think he's somebody that can win you a league. I think he's going to be a difference maker. He's going to use his feet. He's away he goes. And I think he's somebody that can win you a league this year.
I absolutely love that. And I kind of wanted to do a league winner type one, but I couldn't think of anything more specifically in terms of something to think about going into this week. Like, league winners will come from absolutely nowhere. And it's the reason why fantasy is so insane. And like best ball is so insane, because suddenly the teams that get into the final and you have leagues won by crazy, crazy people. And I can see, Anthony Richardson being benched midway through the season. And then, can I even roster this player in fantasy? Do I trade him for a 3 and dine? And then suddenly comes out and no one wins you a league. I can see it. I love it.
Yeah. To echo that, I remember when he got benched, somebody sent me a trade and it was like, I'll give you 2/3 or a second and a third for Anthony Richardson. I'm happy for him to sit on my bench and rot and stuff like that. And I'm like, this is a guy that I paid a lot for, and he was an early pick. I'm not going to just, as soon as he was benched, just trade him away for peanuts and go, I'm done with him. The same with Bryce Young. And I think this is exactly what you're talking about. Bryce Young was benched midway through the season, and Andy Dalton was starting, and then Andy Dalton got injured. No, he wasn't injured. He was just crap. And they went, we're going to go back to Bryce Young.
He was in a car crash. Andy Dalton was in a car crash, was the reason why Bryce Young got back on the field. Like, it wasn't even anything to do with Bryce Young. It was just suddenly he was hurt, and he was hurt off the field, and then Bryce has to play, and then here we are now.
Yeah, but that's it. The semi-finals of your fantasy football playoffs, and Bryce Young is QB3 on the week. You know what I mean? And you're just going, that's just bonkers. This is a guy who was benched and has come back in, and now he's potentially somebody who's going to win you a week, The same with what you're saying with Robert Woods. You know what I mean? Robert Woods has not been heard of all season, and all of a sudden he could step in. Jamison Crowder for the Commanders scores you 2 touchdowns. Not one person on the planet started Jamison Crowder this week,
It's insane.
But he would have been somebody that scored you plenty of points. All the best players in this week in fantasy football were on Rich Cooling's team in the league, Hadgetman League, because he killed me. He genuinely killed me. But yes, that is it. That brings us to the end of the show. Be sure to like and subscribe and follow us on X at Wildcard Rewind, or head on over to our YouTube channel, search for @Fantasy Wildcard, and make sure you give us a subscribe over there. But from me, Lewis, Hannah, and all the people at the Fantasy Wildcard crew, all the Devi boys, the Dynasty boys, everything like that, we just want to wish you all a Merry Christmas and hope that you all have the best time ever. Enjoy it with your families. Enjoy watching football on Netflix while it's buffering. And guys, stay safe out there.